Hey everyone, so here's another new segment for 2020. I know I've been seemingly introducing a lot of new things to the channel, but this is something that I've been thinking about doing for a while, film reviews. For a while, I would write film reviews on my personal Facebook page for just my close friends to see, and then just leave it at that. But recently, with my growth in terms of reviews on this channel, and with the fact that I generally don't see a lot of movies in a year, which is kind of ironic given that I'm a writing for film and TV major, I thought it wouldn't be too much stress off my back to actually make some film reviews for this channel. So I thought, why the hell not? Most of these will be unscripted, so it might go in a couple different directions. I'm just gonna try my best with what I've got. And while I was debating whether I wanted to keep the rating system I use for albums or use a numerical scale like I did before, I'm just gonna stick to the review scale that I use for albums just because I kind of hate the 0 to 10 rating scale sometimes, so it is what it is. Either way, enough jabbering, let's get on to the actual video. Today's review, as you can tell from the title, is going to be of the new DC Extended Universe film, Birds of Prey, or as it's known by its full title, Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Birds of Prey is, like I said, the latest film in the DC Extended Universe, and even if it's not necessarily a sequel, it is kind of a follow-up of sorts to the 2016 film Suicide Squad. Quick disclaimer, I'm a bit of a casual viewer when it comes to some of these comic book films, especially the DC ones. In terms of the DCEU, the only films that I've seen in it thus far are Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and Wonder Woman, but I've been hearing good things about some of the recent films in the canon like Aquaman and Shazam, and while I didn't really see much footage of this before its release, I was pretty interested in it going into it. And now that I've actually seen it for myself, I can say that I actually really enjoyed the movie. For a quick sum up of the plot, I won't be too long about this, but the movie basically deals with Harley Quinn post-breakup with the Joker trying to manage her life after the breakup because being with him gave her protection, but now that she is no longer with him, there's a big target on her back. Equally, she, along with the characters that would be known as Huntress, Black Canary, and Renee Montoya, have to protect young Cassandra Cain from the villain Black Mask, who basically wants to cut Cassandra open because she swallowed a very expensive jewel and he wants to make money off of it. Seemingly simple plot, of course, but the film goes about it in some pretty interesting ways. For starters, it is a movie with a bit of a non-linear plot. It's very self-referential. Harley Quinn definitely breaks the fourth wall a good bit. She's constantly going back in time, forward in time, saying, oh wait, I gotta remind you who this was, yada yada yada. It's actually pretty funny. I'm the kind of person that actually really likes works of art that are self-referential, fourth wall breaking, pretty much self-aware, and I think this one does that really, really well. I think that a lot of the dialogue is really witty, is really funny. The action is really great. I think the fight scenes are really well choreographed and just really fun to watch. Margot Robbie absolutely kills it as Harley Quinn. She really embodies the spirit of the character, really embodies the personality. She just does a damn good job and she steals the show whenever she is on screen. And that's not to say she's the only interesting character, because I actually found that characters like Huntress and Black Canary were actually pretty great and really interesting. I loved Renee Montoya's arc as well as Cassandra Cain's just general personality. I thought that Black Mask and Victor Zsasz were some pretty interesting villains as well, pretty dark and really just brooding and pretty intimidating. And I think what really makes this movie work for me is that I mentioned that I've only seen a few of the DCEU films, but much of the early films from what I noticed, and it was very much memed, really tried too hard to be grim, edgy, dark, etc, etc. From what I've heard of movies like Aquaman and Shazam, it seems like the DCEU has started to get better because of the fact that the movies have embraced their weirdness, their goofiness. And I think Birds of Prey really nails that in terms of just embracing how goofy and off the wall it is. As a film that is centered around Harley Quinn, I think it really embraces the spirit of the character, not just in Margot Robbie's performance, but in the world around Harley Quinn. And I think it's interesting because this is a movie that, as I was watching it, I was also really fascinated by a lot of the subtle details in regards to themes of feminism and men in power. It was something where as I was watching the film, I wanted to go back and watch it more and more because I wanted to see if I could pick apart little details about it. I know it's a movie that's off the wall and goofy, but it does seem like they really stuck some really interesting social commentary into the movie. And I think another thing this movie does really well is it does a good job of standing alone and being its own film away from the DCEU, but it also sets an interesting groundwork for future installments. While watching the movie, I really loved the dynamic of of the characters. I loved Harley and Cassandra's dynamics. I loved the actual Birds of Prey themselves, Renee Montoya, Black Canary, and Huntress. And I really felt like they were able to build the movie in a way that didn't try too hard to franchise build, but laid enough of a good groundwork that could be expanded upon in future installments. The movie is not perfect, and I do think there are a few problems with the writing. The non-linear storytelling can be a bit hit or miss at times. There are a couple moments where I was like, why did they have to go back in time? Sure, it does contribute to Harley Quinn's goofiness as a character, but I was kind of just like, they could have just told it in a linear fashion and it would have been okay. And I also think that pacing is sometimes a little bit of an issue with the movie. Not a huge one, but this movie does throw you right in. It is very fast-paced, but there are moments where it does really cool down, and it seems like it's just a little bit inconsistent. But honestly, I don't think they get in the way of the quality of the movie. I think this was really, really well made. Visually stunning. The action scenes were spectacular. The dialogue was great. It embodied the character very well. Margot Robbie is a scene stealer. She is dynamic and excellent in the lead role. Outside of those minor complaints, I can't really say too much that's bad about this movie. I think director Kathy Ann did a really amazing job with this movie, and I can't wait to see where she and the rest of the DCEU go with it, if they just keep going with the style they've gotten here and just keep going off the wall and having fun with it. I think they've got something pretty interesting going here, which is why I will say that Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn is gonna get an excellent rating from me. I really, really enjoyed this film, had a great time with it, a really fun watch, and definitely one of the better DC movies that I've seen in a while. Definitely go check it out. I think you might like it. But that's just my opinion on the movie. What did you guys think about it? Did you love it as much as I did? Were you not as fond of it? Compared to the other DCEU movies, where would this rank? And do you think this could end up being a good groundwork for future installments? Or do you think they should just leave this to a standalone thing and just use the character in other DCEU films? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know them down in the comments. Let's keep this civil and have some fun as we like to do. If you guys want to hit like and subscribe, thank you. If not, it's no biggie, I understand. In terms of film reviews, I'm not quite sure what's next. However, I believe I'm probably going to end up seeing the Sonic the Hedgehog movie next week, so stay tuned for that. Until then, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.